Welcome to the Echo Tips Podcast.
Here's a sneak peek into what we're going to cover in this week's episode of the Echo Tips Podcast. It can be a really powerful troubleshooting mechanism. I had a student who had echoes doing really random kind of weird things at times, not even when he was talking to them. Well, hello, and welcome to the Echo Tips Podcast. This week we're going to be delving into our treasure chest of past episodes and pulling out some goodies and wedging them together for you. It won't be an omnibus episode, but just a little episode dealing with a recurring topic that comes up from time to time. And that is privacy connected with our Echo devices, how we can manage it, be aware of what's going on, and how these data is used, and how we can curtail that. And we can even use that to maybe troubleshoot issues or problems we have. So it's a pleasure to have you all with us this week. This is a war drum I beat every once in a while because there's a lot of misconceptions out there about privacy connected with voice assistants, and maybe that some are better than others. Generally, in my experience, they all do exactly the same thing if you read the legalese. And so we'll be talking about that and how that information is processed up in the cloud. But before we delve into that in any sort of detail, I'd like to welcome our new listeners to the podcast. Welcome to the Echo Tips Podcast. I am the host, David Ward, and we are in our 7th season. Our podcast is a weekly show that's 52 episodes a year. And like I said, we're in our 7th season. Our back catalog of over 300 and some episodes are covering all sorts of hardware skills, which are like apps on the A-Lady, application scenarios from games to security for use cases for parents, caregivers, home automation, children, just a wide variety of stuff. And you can check out our back catalog if you're trying to solve a particular problem by going to certdoctor.com and then clicking on blog. And then one of the relatively new blog entries should have a back listing. I need to update that thing, but should have a back listing of all of our past episodes. And so that's an easy way for you to kind of eyeball this. Now, in particular, today, we're delving back and looking at episode 181 and episode 183. About, in particular, some ways in which you can manage your privacy, what is recorded, what is sent to the cloud, how you can wipe that. We're going to talk about Voice ID and how once that feature is enabled, you can do additional ways of configuring things just verbally without having to go into the app or anything like that. And but anyhow, before we delve into that in any sort of depth, we're going to go to a brief message and about our show, and then we will be right back. Hey, it's me again. We usually have different voices read or different people read this segment where we tell about our sponsorship and stuff like that. But at the moment, we don't really have a sponsorship. Our ownership is now, the podcast is completely owned by yours truly. And so maybe we'd be interested in hearing about sponsorship opportunities and the like. But in particular, what I want to do is still have some sort of call to action here about the Echo Tips podcast. And we do appreciate our past grants and things back when this was owned by Voice of the Blue Ridge and also by Goodwill. We appreciate many of the grants and things that got us started in the very first place and continue to allow us to go on. But that is not the case anymore. So we may have some sponsorship opportunities for those that are interested in supporting the show here in the future. But for the moment, I still wanted to have a call to action. We're at the beginning of a brand new year. There's a lot of changes in the marketplace, a lot of things going on, but there's a lot of nonprofits out there doing very good work in our communities, both maybe locally to you and maybe at a national level. So I would encourage you to maybe send them a few dollars, maybe do some volunteer work, a little elbow grease, with a nonprofit of your choice. And if you don't have one in mind, here's one that I particularly enjoy and use a lot, and you may even use as much as well. And that is Wikipedia. that online encyclopedia that contains so much valuable information. And I've even used that when I'm dealing with the podcast about the hardware and when Amazon Echoes were released and different features were released. I've gone back and checked out the Wikipedia article. And so Wikipedia is owned by a nonprofit called the Wikimedia Foundation, and you can go to donate.wikimedia.org to make a donation, a one-time or recurring donation. And this is totally, they're not sponsoring us. This is totally unsolicited. It's just a nonprofit that I do appreciate and send a few dollars now and again, and I thought I would mention for y'all. All right, let's get back to the show. Well, hello again, and welcome back to the show. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to be dealing with privacy related to our Amazon Echo devices. We're going to learn little tidbits about how you can, how your information is used, how it is stored. Actually, I'm going to mention too here, just right off the top of my head, it can be a really powerful troubleshooting mechanism. I had a student who had Echoes doing really random kind of weird things at times, not even when he was talking to them. And the only thing I could maybe conclude, because it was really bizarre behavior, is that perhaps a different sound or a bad microphone on another unit somewhere in the house was being triggered. Well, a great way to figure that out is to go and check out your voice interactive history and things like that. So these are all kind of connected. That's a powerful tool in your toolbox to maybe solve or resolve problems. But like I said, we're going to be going back to episode 181 and 183, dealing with privacy, and we're going to start with a high level with episode 181. We'll go to that segment where we talk about privacy and our Amazon Echo. I'm going to delve right into this because we got a bazillion different things we're going to demonstrate here. So if you have an Echo in hearing distance of me, please press the microphone button and shut her ears off, and that way I'm not tripping up your Echo at home. Okay, so first off, that very question could be answered by the lady herself. Alexa, how do I know audio is sent to the cloud?
Here's something I found on the web. According to Amazon.co.uk, by default, Alexa-enabled devices only stream audio to the cloud if the wake word is detected, or Alexa is activated by pressing a button.
Okay. All right, so that gives you a real succinct answer there. Also, now, even though I just told you about microphones, Alexa, how do I turn off the microphones?
There's a microphone off button on Echo Smart Speakers, which electronically disconnects the microphones. When pushed, a red light appears, and your device won't process any sound.
Okay, sweet, exactly. So now you get an idea, okay, some basic mechanics of the thing. Now, by the way, at any point, if I want to check my history, I can say my most recent request, or if maybe even here, just say something weird. Alexa, tell me what you heard.
I heard. How do I turn off the microphones?
Okay, see, so she repeats back to me the very question which I just asked. Now, if you had questions about data and how your data is used, she can even expound on that too. Now, this is mostly informational, but it might be helpful for some family members. If you're installing their Echo, you could just ask the Echo this and kind of give them a tip as to how things work. For example, Alexa, how do you use my data?
Your data allows me to respond to you and helps me learn from our interactions so that I can better help you.
Yeah.
For example, the more variation in spoken language I learn from, the better I'll be at understanding what you mean. You can find settings for how your data is used by visiting Amazon.com/Alexa Privacy Settings or the Privacy section of the Alexa app.
Okay, good tips there. Also, how about this? Alexa, how do you keep my data safe?
Your privacy is important to me, and I protect your data with a range of advanced privacy technologies. For example, voice requests are always encrypted in transit and stored in Amazon's secure cloud.
Booyah.
You can learn more by visiting Amazon.com/Alexa Privacy.
Okay, so there you go. Some basic tidbits and informational points about how privacy is managed and how you can control it at a hardware level and the like. Okay, now what if I want to clear out that history? Like I said, I could say to her, well, why did you do that? Or what did you hear? And she'll repeat back what was most recently given. But you can clear that history course, in the app as she suggested, but also verbally. You could say, Alexa, delete what I just said. Alexa, delete what I just said.
Okay, I'll delete any recordings from the last 10 minutes.
All right, now if you wanted to step it up a notch, you could say, "Hey lady, delete what I said today." And if you wanted to go thermonuclear, you could say, "Hey lady, delete everything I've ever said." Which I would kind of refrain from that personally, because I'd like her to learn from past commands and different things, and I don't want to lose all that training I've given my Echo over the many months and years. Okie dokie. So there we got a few extra tidbits about how we can manage some of those things. Now we're going to go into another episode 183, where we talk about voice ID being configured, how you can do that verbally. And once you've enabled that feature, you get the ability to do additional verbal commands that allow you to kind of curtail the way information is stored at Amazon, you know, how often it's deleted, and whether it can even be viewed or a human being, even though it may be in some sort of aggregate and you're anonymized, whether a human being can even listen at those recordings, maybe even to troubleshoot. Is that something you could turn on or off? Well, we'll listen into this segment where we discuss that very thing. Let's go to that now. That requires you have voice ID enabled first. So that's the ability for the Echo to distinguish between different family members, say Peggy Sue and John, and be able to tailor their privacy settings to them individually. And it's required that that's enabled first now before you do the privacy settings. When I first did this demo, that wasn't the case. So I didn't want this to come out as a podcast and you guys not know that. So I want to take you through that first. So to configure her to know your voice is very simple. You would just say, Alexa, learn my voice.
Once I learn your voice, I'll be able to call you by name, tell you apart from others who use the Echo devices you speak to,
Awesome.
and personalize your experience.
Okay.
First, I'll need your name. I found a few in this account. Say yes if you hear yours. Is this John?
No.
Is this David?
Yes.
As part of learning your voice, I'll ask you to say 4 phrases to create a voice ID. Your voice ID will be stored in the cloud until you delete it in the app. Now you'll just need to repeat after me. Get ready, we're about to begin.
Oh boy.
First up, say, Alexa, what's the temperature outside?
Alexa, what's the temperature outside?
Great. Now say, Alexa, play music.
Alexa, play music.
Next, Alexa, turn off the light.
Alexa, turn off the light.
And one more, Alexa, add milk to my shopping list.
Alexa, add milk to my shopping list.
Okay, you're all done. David,
Bam.
It's great to put a name to the voice. I've sent information about your voice ID to the Alexa app, and if you'd like to help others get recognized on these devices, remind them to say, Alexa, learn my voice.
Okay, so there you go. So that will be required now going forward. Now we'll go back to how you can tailor your privacy settings. Press on. So this is kind of a nice little decision tree that she walks you through. Basically 2 steps at this point. Who knows? Maybe it'll expand to more steps. But I really appreciate the ability to do this verbally. So all you have to say is, Alexa, update my privacy settings.
Sure. I can help you update the settings that manage how long your voice recordings are saved, and human review of those recordings. Let's get started.
Let's do that.
Currently, your voice recordings are set to save for 3 months. You can change that to save until you delete them, save for 18 months, or not save them at all. Which would you like?
18 months.
Okay. By choosing that option, your voice recordings older than 18 months will be deleted and cannot be retrieved. Do you still want me to update that setting?
Yes.
Okay. It's updated to 18 months.
Booyah.
Now, moving to the next setting. Currently, human review of your voice recordings is turned on. Only a small fraction of all voice recordings go through human review. Would you like to turn it off?
No.
Okay. Human review of your voice recordings will remain turned on. To manage other privacy settings, tap the link I sent to the Alexa app. You can also go to your Amazon account and find privacy settings under Content and Devices.
Well, there you go, guys. I hope you found that all educational and interesting from our past episodes. Like I mentioned, if you want to go back and check out our back catalog, you can go to our website, CERT-Doctor, that's C-E-R-T, Doctor, D-O-C-T-O-R.com. Click on blog, and near one of the top blog entries, you should see a list of the Echo Tips podcast from episode 0 all the way down to some of our most current episodes. And so you can find a huge resource there. If you're trying to solve a problem or direct a family member, by all means, feel free to check those out. You could easily share that link to somebody who's maybe trying to solve a problem. If you have any thoughts or suggestions for a future episode, or maybe even sponsorship opportunities, I don't know. But I'd love to hear some feedback from y'all. And you can do so at Echo Tips Podcast, to kind of wedge that all together, at CERT-Doctor. That's the same domain we mentioned earlier, C-E-R-T, then Doctor, D-O-C-T-O-R.com. And just drop me an email and let me know about maybe a future topic you'd like to hear on the podcast, or any thoughts or feedback you have on this subject. But before we sign off for the day, just to mention, it's time to turn the ears of your Echo back on, start practicing some of the many things that you've learned. I'm David Ward, and we do thank you for listening.